So you just landed in Zurich, and how many seasons have you been coming to Europe, or how many seasons do you have years have you been in the sport?
Well, what was it? 98 I started. I had a 4-year break being locked up. And then 4 years wasn't allowed to come overseas, but I was still jumping in Oz then. So I think, I don't know, it's like 25, 26 years. And I think we came out here in 99, 2000, 2001, 2002, 2003, 2004. That's when I got arrested. Didn't come back to Europe until 2012. And then have pretty much done every year except for the COVIDs, like where they locked us down and we weren't allowed to leave.
Yeah, you guys had it tough.
We were lucky. Me and Sarah came out and did a snowboarding trip in the valley, and then we went to what's the one where the Matterhorn is?
Slovenia.
Oh no, Zermatt.
Zermatt.
We went to Zermatt for 2 days and did like a week in the valley snowboarding. It was shit. It was a shit season. There wasn't that much snow, but fuck, it was good. And then we went back, and then COVID hit because we were joking in the airports. We're like, look at all these fucking idiots wearing their mask, wankers. And then all the shit came down. You're like, fuck. So it was sort of sucked. We didn't get to travel in those years, but you know, we got that little trip in. So it's sort of, and we did a trip not around Australia. We went up to Northern Territory and Alice Springs and saw Uluru and all those places. So that was, and like went up to far north Queensland. So I wouldn't have done that if it hadn't have been for fucking COVID. So
yeah, COVID was pretty wild for us because in France it was really strict. Like we had to have a written paper saying that we were walking our dog and we had to stay within 1,000 meters of our house. But we would go up on the hill and you could see people in Switzerland sailing and hanging out in the parks and stuff like that.
It was interesting to see how like every country, like the different ways they took it. Some were like, oh, well, we'll lose a few more people. Whereas we did the big, not sort of full fucking shutdown and make everyone not move. My girl was loving it because she's a copper, so she was doing some of the hotel quarantine. They were making good money.
Wait, so your girlfriend is a cop?
Yeah.
What? That's kind of wild, man. I wouldn't expect that.
Well, she's a cool cop. She's a mounted police officer.
Oh, okay.
So, yeah.
She rides horses?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So she's riding around in town, in the city, and...
Yeah. So when they sort of do it, it's like they do protests and stuff like that, but it's also, I don't know, like if people are at an event and there's horses there, people are more likely to come up and talk to them. So, yeah, it's sort of that. It's still a bit set back when they used to like run people over fucking riding and stomping on people's heads, but they use them in like crowds because you can see over the top. And then so it's sort of funny. They love they're the oldest continual mounted police in the world.
No doubt.
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, I think all that would have been is the Canadian Mounties must have stopped during one of the wars or something.
Okay.
So they love cracking that one out.
And she's a jumper too?
Yeah, so she doesn't jump in Australia, she just jumps overseas.
Right, because it's illegal.
Yeah, she'll lose her job.
So what did we say? You're in your 26th year of jumping?
Roughly about that, yeah.
How did you start?
That was funny. I used to work at Flemington Markets. It's like the wholesale fruit and vegetable markets that supplies all of New South Wales. And there was a guy there and he's like, oh, let's organise something. Let's go climbing. And I said, no, that looks fucking climbing sounds fucking a lot of effort. I said, I used to bodyboard a lot, and I said, I used to see a lot of videos, and there was skydiving. I said, let's fucking go do that. He goes, all right, we'll organise some tandems. I said, nah, fuck that. Like, let's do the course where even if we only do one jump, at least we're putting a bit of effort in and not just being like an amusement ride. So I think the guy organised 26 of us from our company, and he happened to know a base jumper, and on that video I'd seen before there was a couple of base jumps done on that video. So I didn't really know much about it. And he goes, oh, my mate said, do you want to do a base jump on, like, I'm like, yeah, all right. So then I think we were going, my AF course was like north of Sydney. And so there's a big bridge there called Mooney Bridge. That's where we were going to do it. So done my AF1 and the wind wasn't good for the jump, for the base jump. And then I didn't like that drop zone. So then I finished off coming all my AF down in Picton. And my mate said, "Oh, do you still want to do that base jump?" And I said, "Yeah." So there's a 57 meter bridge just up the road from Picton, and I think I did AF3, and then did my first base jump. So I did AF1 up in Warnervale, AF2 and 3 on the Saturday, base jumped on the Sunday morning, and then did 3 and 4 on the 4 and 5 on the Sunday.
So what kind of gear did you have?
I think my first jump, so it was all my mentors. It was pretty sure it was a cruise light, and just in it was in a skydiving rig. And then like most of my jumps going on from there were like on 228s, and I wanted to get more jumps. So I asked the other guys around, like, how do I get some gear? And they said, oh yeah, there's some Australian gear. So I got a Pusta, which is a Meteor. So it was like one of the most high performance 7 cells of its day. There used to be one hanging up in flavors. I'd never actually seen it as a Meteor, and they were pieces of shit. So no matter how big you were, they were 210 square feet. And then the container was a thing made by Parachutes Australia called an Urban RV, just a very simple Velcro container, fucking ugly as shit. But so my one was, I bought it secondhand off Tom Bejic, and that was the one they used on a TV show called Who Dares Wins. So they would go out and they would, meet someone at their work and say, oh, we're going to get you to do something. And the production company wanted them to do a tandem base jump off a building in Sydney, and they were like, yeah, that's fucking retarded. How about we just get him to jump off a fucking bridge? So he did Douglas, it was at Gladesville Bridge. They set it all up there, and they bought a brand new rig, and so I ended up getting that rig secondhand. And then I think at the time, there was a bit of American gear around, and Anne Helliwell had come out and caught up with Dwayne. And so she was sort of pushing the Fox in, and I think Pete Fielding had been jumping a Wizard. So, and in the early days, a few guys had, once, not the early days, you had the really early, the mid-early that was just before me, and then the guys that taught me. And so the better gear was just starting to trickle in. So Anne came out, and pretty much the Fox was it still is, I reckon, Apex's best canopy.
Mm. Yeah. So it seems like every old timer that we have, or, have been in the sport for years, has had very little jumps leading up to their base jumps, very little skydives, I should say. So you had 3 skydives.
Yeah. But it was sort of funny. My mentor, he'd done that to people before, and normally they just do one jump and that's it.
Okay.
And I was like, no, I want to do another one. And I want to do another one. And I didn't really notice it, but there were other guys turning up on the other jumps, and that was all the other guys in the crew, what the fuck are you doing? And they were sort of all right, he's not an idiot. But yeah, it's you don't know what you don't know. And I was sort of lucky. I had, of its time, those guys had lots of jumps, and the Sydney crew was pretty small. The 2 separate crews had just sort of come together, which was you had Dwayne and Tom Bejic and Pete Fielding, and then you had Mark Dunbar, who was my mentor, and Greg Wilcock. They sort of all came together, and then you also had Gary Cunningham, and a lot of the guys that started before them had sort of got injured, stopped jumping. Some of them even hated base for a while, and they've done a full 180 and sort of pretty impressed and what's going on these days. So that's pretty good to see. But yeah, and they sort of were he's not a total fucking idiot. And I realized when the boys came back from their trip in 98, and we didn't even know what, fuck me dead, Norway, the cliffs are that big. So it's...
You put a slider on it?
Well, it's sort of funny. I'm sort of happy where I started. I wish I would have had a lot more experience beforehand, but when I came to my first trip in Europe, and I broke my leg on my 3rd jump at McGlaren, all just down to not enough experience under canopy. I think it was my 53rd base jump. So I'd done a shitload of hard jumps in Australia, come to a big, massive landing area. So when you used to fly across the other side of the road, and there was like, I think there's like a car dealership, and we used to land in the field next to that. And the days before, we'd been landing a certain way. The wind had changed, and all I had to do was just fly up the fucking fence line. But I was like, nah, I got to land the same way. And I was sitting in a bit too deep brakes and hit the ground and stalled the canopy. So it dropped me the last bit. So the impact broke the leg, and then, which the leg breaking wasn't, it was more that it rolled back and ripped all the ligaments. So it ripped the ligaments off. Where is it? So that's the one.
You're showing me your ankle.
Yeah, just ripped the ligaments that hold that bone off on the foot and tore it off. So, yeah, so I was like rolling around, and everyone's like, what the fuck, he's not getting up. And then they ended up throwing me in the car and taking me down to Chamonix, and I got operated there. And then half the group hung around. I think they went and jumped Mavason Dam and then came back and got me, and the other guys went and jumped the Euro Bridge. And then when they picked me up, as you most probably know, in France, the painkillers are a bit, you don't get them from the hospital, you get them from the pharmacy. Well, the boys wanted to, no, we want to get to fucking Italy. So they just, we'll worry about that when we get to Italy. And we just drove to Brento. So I got out of operation, I had no fucking painkillers. And then when we got there, they said, oh, all right, we'll try and find a pharmacy after we go jumping. So then in the afternoon, we found a pharmacy, but it was shut. So then the next day we found a different pharmacy, but it was shut. And it was like one would be open in the morning and close in the afternoon, and they were alternate. So I think it was 4 days until I got any fucking painkillers.
God damn.
Yeah, it was pretty fucked. But did the rest of the trip, and I was hobbling on crutches up in Norway and filmed the guys doing the world record up to that time when they did the 24-way. So that was pretty good. And then the rest of them went up north. And that was when one of the young guys that I'd started jumping with, Daniel, he went in at Troll. So yeah, that was sort of pretty fucked.
Was that a wake-up call for you, like that, oh, damn, this is dangerous? Or did you sort of...
It's one of the things that's funny, when people say, no jump's worth dying for, I don't laugh at it, but I sort of shake my head. It's like, well, when you think about that, every jump is worth dying for. You shouldn't be fucking doing it. So I knew how dangerous it was, like more so like chances of injury in Australia, our landing areas are pretty full on, and you sort of got to really want to do it. And back then there wasn't, like, internet was around, but it wasn't really getting used like it is now. It was just famous athletes, companies and stuff like that. So there was no like, I want to be a fucking hero sort of thing. You really wanted to do it. And it didn't open my eyes up, but it sort of, like, from my injury, I was like, I need to go back and do a lot more skydiving. I don't want to break myself up. I don't want to die. I want to keep doing more jumps. But yeah, his one was, it was sad the way that it happened. And it was sort of back when they used to have to get in there and you'd do your hike at the night and you'd jump and you'd hide. And I think if it was now, even like it's sort of like what Yosemite is at the moment, the local police are not like clamping down. They can't change the law, but they can decide if they want to enforce it. So it's pretty hard. And as they're realizing all the jumps on Troll are the safest, all the harder jumps are elsewhere. So yeah, and I think if it was now, because all it pretty much was, they'd packed. You've been to the Spire? Mm-hmm. So Daniel and Pete Fielding were on the lower exit and the other four guys are on the higher exit. And Pete Fielding, they're all getting ready to go, and you've got to minimise from when the first canopy opens to the last canopy. So Pete had sort of said, I need to go. And he'd done his countdown and he went. Daniel wasn't ready. And all he should have done is just fucking waited, let everyone else go, get his thoughts together. But he just sort of went and he just fucking just tumbled off. And then I think there was someone else, and then Dwayne was the fourth one off. And Dwayne, when he went, he looked and he could see Daniel like way back in. And then he righted himself. He started to track, and then he impacted the ledge that's not there anymore. And yeah, and then he ended up right down at the bottom where the ice is. There's like a little crevasse thing, and I think it took him like 40-something days to find his body.
Damn.
So it was pretty full on, and that was back when the baseboard was around, and there was lots of fucking. It's like even now, like in lots of the accidents, people jump to conclusions, whatever, And if anyone had been, they should have known, well, okay, there's a group of guys jumping. They pretty much they were climbing up the talus, told to fuck off by the police, and saying that you jumped isn't going to do anything. They pretty much said, we watched him jump, and this is exactly what happened, and this is where we reckon his body is. And yeah, it just took them a while because it's like super dangerous. There's rocks falling off there all the time. It's like if you end up there, they won't bring a helicopter in to get you.
Right, because those rocks are falling and then it could just end everybody's life. Just going back to when you were learning, how did you find your mentor? Was it? I mean, you found him to be a good instructor, a good mentor, but did you choose him, or did it just happen that you guys fell on each other's paths?
It was just.
So you just got lucky.
It was pretty much, and he'd taught a fair few people, and I pretty much got lucky, I reckon, and that's why, like, down the track, I always like giving my time to people because he gave me so much of his time for just for personal rewarding. And he'd I think he realized I shouldn't have done what I did, but he had the gutso to follow it through and not just be like, fuck off. So yeah, I think I was pretty lucky.
Do you remember like how much time you spent with him? Was he like with you on every jump?
Yeah, right through pretty much on every one of my jumps until I came to Europe. He was on every single jump. And then when I got back, I think it was 6 weeks back and I did a jump, but I was sort of like into water and that. I think it was another 9 or 10 weeks before I did a hard landing again. And he was on most of my jumps for that next year after that. And then he started not dropping off, but there was lots of other jumpers and like, you're going to go to different places. But yeah, I've done lots of my jumps with him. It was really good.
So he wanted to share his time with other people and sort of wanted to cut the umbilical cord a little bit.
Yeah.
So you went to Europe pretty early then. So like on your second season, third season, first season? First season. Okay. But then you injured yourself right away. That was almost like a blessing, wasn't it?
Yeah. Well, it like you don't know what would have happened if I hadn't have. But it's like I still got more base jumps than skydives. It's like that. I would like to put a lot more effort into my skydiving, but I enjoy base jumping more. But that's why I've pretty much realized, like a fair few years ago, when like I want to be wingsuiting as hard as my friends, but I realized I didn't have the skill level, so I just dialed it back, and I got no problem with that. People are like, you're not going to fly that? No, no, I got no business. Like we were here the year when everyone was jumping Brevant, and I think Al did a jump that first year, and there were so many people were like, "Oh, you're going to jump it?" And I'm like, "No, no." It's like I'm like a touring car driver, and then you got Formula One, and with lots of training, I don't even think I could even get to that level. So it's like I know where my ego is, and I enjoy, because for me doing a jump, I enjoy jumping with people and watching people do things for the first time, or just being around in the different places. For me, it doesn't have to be the most hardcore jump,
Yeah, you've always seemed like you've had a level of personal restraint, like staying in your lane kind of thing. And where do you think that comes from?
I don't know. When I think back a bit, like I was a bit more reckless when I was younger. Like because we met Rudy Kassan when he was getting taught by Christophe, his mentor, in Verdun. And I was I wouldn't say very reckless, but I was a little bit more full on then. And I think I just realized, like, I grew up a little bit and I wanted to keep doing it and not jumping as much in skydiving, and not, Australian jumping is very different. And for me, it's the people I jump with, and I got no problems walking away from a jump. Some of my mates will give me shit about it, but it's like we had another mate, Ash Walsh, he's since retired, and we were jumping Echo Point in Australia. So it's like a lookout, you can see the Three Sisters. And I didn't like the conditions. It was nothing. It's funny. It's like a lot of times I know I can do it, the conditions, but I get a certain feeling. But what I normally do is I'm not going to say anything. I don't want to put anyone else off. I'll just wait, let everyone jump, and then just say I'm not jumping. Because by me turning around and saying, oh, I'm not going to jump, someone else might, be in the right frame of mind, and there's nothing wrong with the conditions. It's just I've got a certain feeling, and I've learnt to, listen to that, and it's not that hard. If Australian jumping, the good thing about it is it's not a very far walk to the exit point. So if you don't jump, you're back to the cafe pretty quickly. Whereas like here, you might hike all the way up and you're waiting. So it's a bit different. But then the flip side, if something goes wrong, you're down in a gorge, where here you're not too far away from your car to be able to be gotten rid of, unless you're stuck up on the mountain somewhere, but that's different.
Right. So you, in Australia, most of the jumps, you're hiking out after the jump instead of landing next to your car.
Yeah.
Yeah, that can pose some, one of the most intense jumps I did was in the US, and it was like a 2-hour hike out, and somebody had sprained their ankle, and it was like, ugh, I realized real quick. And some of the people, most of us weren't very experienced, and it was like nobody had enough water. Yeah, nobody was ready for a self-rescue, any of that stuff. You said that Australian jumping is a lot different. Besides having to hike out, maybe for somebody who's not familiar with it, we can see some videos of the landing areas, but like...
Well, the funny thing, everywhere in the world has those jumps. They're here. But some people seek them out, but that's all we sort of have. So we have a few more easier ones. A few of the newer jumpers have found a couple of easier ones, it's good. But the step up so pretty much our jumping, the jump starts once your canopy opens. We've got a few technical actual jumps, but most of them are reasonably easy, but the landing areas make it challenging, and that sort of is a bit rewarding. But it's sort of funny. Everyone thinks we're amazing at accuracy, and not really. When you've got nowhere else to land, and when you're jumping off and you're pretty low, you've got fixed points where to turn, it's not that difficult. But if you're out by a bit, you're in the trees or you're in boulders.
Yeah.
And damaging gear, damaging yourself. So yeah, it's a bit more, I wouldn't say full on, but yeah, it's just and it's funny. It's not all of Australia is not like that. Most of the jumps are on the east coast, and my state, New South Wales, has most of the jumps in Australia. And sadly, where you've got Queensland, Tasmania, Western Australia, it's like here. You can jump in the mountains. Our state, it's like Yosemite. So it's not illegal, but you need a permit.
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
Yeah, and they won't give us one.
No one's going to give you one. So
They tried years ago, but we're sort of like, I think I was locked up at the time when they were trying to, and this is when Glenn Singleman was trying to push his way into the Australian Base Association, and he sort of wanted, let's make it legal. And me and a few others were like, well, it's better just to keep your fucking head below ground, like down under, and just, they know where we're jumping, and it's only, they don't really go out and stake us out. So if there's an accident and we can't get to them or they can't get out, that's when they hear about it. But they were sort of saying we wanted to have like ambulances on every exit point. Like it's not like the fucking rugby league or, the NFL or something. It's just and then some of them were wanting to use like climbing. Oh, what about them? And myself and others were like, you shouldn't be dragging other sports. They've gone through their bullshit. And, if you want to get it made legal or whatever, you do it on your own merits, but don't go like trying to fuck other sports up. And, because they got some places there are not allowed to climb still.
So climbing's been through their bullshit. Paragliding's been through their bullshit. Yeah. A lot of other extreme sports have been through their shit. Do you think we've been through our shit?
Yes and no. Like, I think I was listening to your interview with the guys that it was the lawyer, and I found that really interesting. But like we were talking about before, we love laws and rules, and like where America's like the land of the free and all that bullshit, but you are a lot freer, that you've got areas, and it just happens to be certain government organisations that are in charge of certain areas that, you know, they allow you to do it, and other ones don't. And there's, you know, historical things of that, and a lot of our national parks follow Yosemite's, like the way they do it. But they don't hunt us down with tasers. They're sort of a little bit lazier about it. They know where all our exit points are, but most of them we don't come across the public. Few of them we do, but yeah, it's
a lot more isolated out there too, isn't it? Like you don't have tourists driving around looking up at the cliffs while you guys are gearing up.
No. There's a few jumps where like the tourists come, but it's funny. Most of the tourists are a little bit lazy. They'll pull up to some of our well-known ones, and it's maybe a 10 or 15-minute walk to the exit point. These people are like, they're used to the other ones where they get out of their car, they're only going to walk 20, 30 feet, and there's a lookout. So you don't get as many tourists out to like the jumps that we jump a lot. There was another jump years ago that you used to be able to drive right out there, and the road's been blocked off, so it's a lot more effort to get into there, which is a bit annoying because it's a bit more fickle with the wind, and you used to be able just to like drive out, it's no good, come back. Now it's like a 5 kilometre hike in, and it's a little bit more annoying.
So when people go out there, they're like, I just hiked 5 kilometers. I want to get this jump in. So maybe they're a little bit more itching to jump.
Not really, because that's one of the technical ones.
Okay.
So there's a few jumps over there. A couple of them are a little bit easier, but it's one of the, so we've got a lot of, wouldn't say easy jumps, but they've got their own things going. And then the next step up, and one of them's launch pad. So if you would have seen any of the really old footage of Drain, it's the one where you see us sprinting off, and you got to sprint so you clear the first ledge, and it's like a 5-second subterminal slider up jump with the landing area right below you.
Sounds like fun.
Yeah.
While we're talking about evolution in the sport, there's been a massive influx of new jumpers. And you're somebody who's been given a lot of your own personal time to help people understand the gear, and you've mentored quite a few people, if I got that right.
Yeah.
What do you think about the fact that we have so many schools, like financial, there's a financial interest in having students, and, we see a lot of schools have, huge groups going out with a couple instructors or one instructor. I don't want to put any words in your mouth, but like, what do you think about the current state of education in base jumping?
I think it's good and bad at the same time. Like, I still think like the mentoring was good, but if you get a shit mentor, it's shit. And nowadays there are good schools and there are shit schools. But like back then, there's too many jumpers now to get mentored. But the way I like to see it is the people sort of joining their local crews, getting in with their local crews, choosing a good course. So they've got their courses, their mentors, but then they come back and they're getting group mentored on their local objects. That's the thing that I like to see. I don't like to see it as much when the people like don't get in touch with their local. Like, you can search anything on the internet, and it's not that hard at your drop zone at other places to find the local jumpers. And a few years before you want to start jumping, making friends with them at the drop zone, jumping with them, going out. We used to call it ground crewing. It's pretty much videoing and just getting an idea of what goes down. And it's actually more about making friendships with the people. So then when you do come back from your course, they know who you are. They're more happy to take you out, and certain jumps, like there's like a progression in our area with certain jumps to do. But yeah, I think there are a lot of courses that shouldn't be there, and I think they're all evolving. But there's lots and lots and lots of jumpers. But I think the main thing is most jumpers are still in a hurry. They decide they want a base jump, and then it's got to be now, bang, 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 bang. And I see that when I'm helping people with gear, and they're like, "Oh, but I'm going soon." It's like, you've only just contacted me now. You haven't come out, hung out with people, like you just boom. And so that's a bit stupid, I think, in this day and age when it's not that hard, to find someone. They're going to put you in touch with someone else and, have some beers with them, have a coffee, have a bit of a yarn, sort of, years before you want to start jumping. Most people got it in their head. Like some people will decide, I want to start jumping and then bang. But you do see people that aren't in a hurry, and that's refreshing. Like they want to put the effort in, they want to wait. They've sort of, seen all the death and mayhem, and they want to have more knowledge. And that one of the things I can sort of say is if I could go back, I'd do things very differently, but it was a very different time. And like nowadays there's so much information, and if you spend a bit of time, you can find and ask recommendations of people and,
So let's focus on that for a little bit, because I think there's a lot of people who are interested in getting into jumping, or maybe you're new, and ground crewing may seem a little bit like, what do you mean? What do I got to do? So driving for people, like shuttling's a good idea, right?
You get that. Like every area is going to be different, but it's sort of, it's like you doing something to help the crew out, and then they're going to help you out down the track. So it's like anything. If you look at surfing, if you look at climbing or anything, people are going to help you, but they want to make sure that you're not a dick. So they want to get to know you. And That's mainly what the ground crewing is. It does show you, like some people might go out and actually see it and be like, shit, this is too full on for me. I want to take a step back. And that's a good thing,
Yeah, one of the most prepared beginners I ever saw was my buddy Tom, who lived in Chamonix, and he spent, I think, 3 or 4 seasons just watching what was going on at Brabant, and he took a super cautious approach. But he had seen all the carnage, he had seen all the helis like lifting bodies out, and he was in the landing area asking questions and things like that. And he had a massive advantage when he started, because he knew, he kind of got an idea, because like you said before, you don't know what you don't know, and you have these preconceived notions of what base jumping is, but not until you've spent some time in the sport do you get a real idea of like, damn, this guy is actually a legend in the sport, and he just fucked up real bad. And who am I to think that I can get away with something? So you were saying that there's some courses that just shouldn't exist?
Oh, there's fucking lots of them. Like the person hasn't been jumping that long, and then all of a sudden they're teaching people. And yeah, that's, it's a bit fucking stupid. And that person, like we were speaking about before, most probably just, wants to work out a way of being around it and that, but they would have been maybe better off being an instructor on a good course and then stealing some of the knowledge through that and then maybe starting their own. But yeah, so sometimes it can be good, because even if they're bad, they might have no one in their area. So having someone that's bad, they maybe come to the bridge and then they see the other courses, and then they might be like, oh, okay, I'm going to do that. But then that might be enough to get them badly hurt. So yeah,
So besides time in the sport, what are some of the other suggestions that you have for people that come to you for advice about choosing a school?
Well, most of the schools are good, that they are very structured. So it's more about making sure that, like, the instructor puts the student first. All the jumps are about the student. And like the worst is when you see people coming through the valley and their friends teaching them, and they don't want to go to the easier jumps. They'll take them over the other side. And that's why there's like so many fatalities at fucking high nose, because there's people jumping there that shouldn't be jumping there yet, and that's the worst. Like if someone's going to be mentoring or teaching someone, they've got to think of the student first and not worry about themselves. And where schools are based, it's just for the for the student. But yeah, it's like, I think the schools that went to Laurent were good because you wouldn't get that many people coming through going, oh, take me here, take me there. It's like when the schools go there, they'll show them the correct jumps to do first, etiquette of the valley, try to make sure they do it better. So I think it's good, but then it's got to be stressful for them.
What about etiquette? Do you think that that's something that's sort of being covered enough?
Yes and no. Yeah, it's sort of funny. Like whenever I go somewhere, I'll contact locals before I go there, and I'm not just going to go burn some object. It's like, you know, if I can't get in touch with them, it doesn't really bother me that much. And you know, it's that sort of thing is a bit annoying where people will come into the valley and there's not that many rules there. There's a few, but they're pretty lax when you think about it. Sure. And most of them, it's all about the controlled airspace of the fucking helicopters. So following those simple rules and, you know, being courteous to the farmers, landing where you're supposed to land. And if you fuck up, putting your hands up and saying, I'm sorry. But yeah, the people that like don't buy landing cards piss me off. It really pisses me off. It's not that much money. And, you know, the Swiss Space Association have done so much to try to keep it open there. And that's one of the things. The Swiss love money. So, you know, there are farmers there that don't like the jumpers, but they're getting money, so they'll tolerate it. And for people that don't buy landing cards, it's not fucking much money. It's like the toll fucking sticker for your van. I wish we had that in Australia. It's not much, but I'm sure there'd be people that come, have a car and don't worry about putting that fucking sticker on. It's like you're just going to get your fucking self in the shit and cause dramas for everyone else.
Man, tell me about it. In France here, the freeways are a ripoff. I wish we could have a French sticker.
Well, I don't think it'd work in many other countries than Switzerland.
Yeah, there's something about the Swiss where they really respect their own rules, and everyone seems to be into following them. It seems to work out. I mean, Switzerland's one hell of a country. Everything seems to work out in proper order.
Yeah.
You've been going to Lauterbrunnen for a long time. The place has changed a lot, huh?
Yeah. Some things good, some things not as good. I think the amount of jumpers going through there, it's pretty good. Like there are some jumps that we used to be able to do that you can't do now. And I think there's a lot more jumps open than there used to be. So, you know, that's not that much of an issue. But, and like I missed the old Lamousse exits before it started crumbling away, and everyone blames Red Bull for that. But it's sort of funny. I always remind them, well, when you're getting across to the mushroom, I think Andy's one of the only ones that jumps across. You hop on that fucking cable and scoot across, and Red Bull put that fucking cable up there. So, you know, you might bag them about Lamousse, but yeah.
That was real controversial back in the day. I remember it's because they cut some trees down for a film job, right?
Yeah, and then it just started the erosion, and it's constantly going.
So we were talking about how it's changed and people doing their part, and like maybe, and what else were we talking about? The ethics. I'm wondering, do you see that the ethics are worldwide, or do you feel like it's something that's kind of different for each site? I mean, you said that you contact the locals, and that's always a good idea, right? Because you can, I mean, everybody has their own little unique micrometeorology. It's good to get insider information, stuff like that. But there's can be some things like that are just unseen or you don't even know about. Now that you've been in the sport for a long time, it's you have a lot of connections, so it's easy to contact the locals. How do people contact the locals otherwise?
Well, you're only like, what do they say, 6 steps away. You know a jumper, he'll know a jumper, he'll know more jumpers, you know, and you can get put in touch with anyone nearly anywhere if you want. You just got to give them enough notice. Like when we get jumpers contact us coming out to Australia, and with enough time, we had an American guy and a girl, and we pretty much got the guy his base number in Australia. The girl decided not to jump the building; she wasn't happy with it, and in Melbourne, but they got a lot more jumps in then so they pretty much jumped from Queensland down to New South Wales and down to Victoria. And if they had have just turned up themselves, it would have been, a lot harder. And I think they enjoyed it a lot more. They opened an antenna with a jumper up in far north Queensland, so
nice.
that was pretty cool. But
Yeah, what people used to tell me back in the day, and I didn't mind doing, because I was usually didn't want to wait for my friends to be on the same schedule, but traveling to places, either by myself or in a really small group was always like a better option because the locals would be willing to take you out. Like there's some advantages of not going with a big group to places, isn't there?
Yeah, definitely. Like sometimes like 4 or less is good, maybe 2, 3, but yeah, it sort of matters. Like we've been taken on some little road trips from Switzerland with Fabian years ago into the Verco and a few other areas and jumped the smaller dams. And it's nice. We did a really, really cool, what's the drop zone out there? Is it Bex?
Yeah, Bay.
That place is awesome. So we went out there and we'd done a jump off, what's the jump there where you jump over the wine?
There's vineyards over every jump or under every jump over there.
Trying to think of it'll come to me. But we jumped that in the morning and then we went to the drop zone that afternoon and we packed and we were gonna, because that's got a real unique way of being allowed to jump your base gear if you're not landing back on the drop zone. It's so what do you call them? In-ops. And it happened to be the drop zones like end of year party. So we all jumped out. So there was a big way. And then there was me, Fabian, just tracking. And we landed this little farmhouse and it was an old restaurant and they cleared all the tables, everyone packed. And then we sat down, we had dinner and no one spoke any English bar Fabian. So he was like translating for me. But it was funny. It's where I first tasted Suze and I fucking love it. So when I was there, I sort of said to them, "Oh, do you have like pastis?" And the lady's like, no.
You're far away
then
from
she's
southern
like,
France.
"Oh." So she brings out the Suze and I had it and I like all herbal liqueurs and yeah, that was nice. But being there at that drop zone at that time in that little special thing, that was pretty fucking cool.
Yeah, I've done one of those jumps there. I mean, I've done a lot of jumping there, but one of those in-hops into the farm, it was just really special. Unfortunately, that's not the case anymore.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
Is the drop zone being sold?
No. So you can't jump with single parachute systems anymore.
Yeah.
There was a local guy, Pascal, who was a local legend. I mean, he opened a ton of spots, exit points in Valais and all over the Alps. And he was the guy that, I learned from about jumping there. And, actually, he taught me a lot of stuff while I was there and found out that you could jump there with base rigs and stuff like that. And unfortunately, he went in on one of those jumps.
And that brought it to an end.
And then they were like, okay, no more of this. Yeah. They have a funny rule in Switzerland. It's like you can use the airplane as transportation. Yeah. But if you have students on the airplane, it sort of changes the rules a little bit. So they're able to do it. But I think at that point they were like, look, okay, this is causing more trouble than it's worth. And he started the single parachute jumping at Bay and then he ended it.
Yeah.
End of an era. So I want to go back to your story a little bit because it's pretty unique. You were, I think we stopped at like your second year. You had been in Europe, broke your ankle, your leg, and then you went back home, and then you got locked up.
Well, that was a fair bit later. That was 2004. So yeah. So
okay.
I used to fund my jumping by growing marijuana. So,
okay. In Australia?
Yeah.
You had outdoor operations?
No,
Indoor. Okay. And so you were living comfortably off the herb for quite a few years.
Yeah.
And then the cops came knocking at your door. Or how did that happen?
Oh, we're driving to Bunnings. Bunnings is like a big hardware store. I was going to get a barbecue and I had a Ford XR8 Ute. So it's like a V8 Ute. Utes are like little, imagine your big pickups in America, but they're smaller. And we got pulled over by a highway patrol car, and then when he opened tapped on my window, he said, "Would you get out of the car, Mr. Farrell?" And I just looked at my mate and I said, "We're fucked." And yeah, then I just retired from that. Spent 4 years in jail, and so I got an 8-year sentence, and I was on parole for 4 years when I got out. So that made jumping interesting. If I would have got caught, I would have got sent back for another 12 months. So I had to be not put my friends, because they would run decoy if we were going to get caught. So, but the mountains wasn't really an issue. It's just doing buildings and stuff. But I just had to be a little bit picky and choosy, and
So I remember some of the local people in California going away, and I always was like, it was agonizing for me to think of. I mean, anybody locked in a cage is sort of agonizing concept, but a base jumper who's traveling all over the world and spending their life looking for that freedom to then find themselves in a box, that must have been pretty hard.
Yeah, but again, like sort of my philosophy in jumping wise, before I started doing it, I knew what the ramifications were. Didn't think I was going to get as long as I did. Thought I'd maybe get 2-year sentence with 4 years on top, but it was double that. So yeah, I wouldn't have done it if I knew what and the thing with growing pot, you do it long enough, you are going to get caught. And I was in the phase of ending it, and just ended it a little bit too late. So yeah, because it's not one that you can just stop. You got to slowly get everything out, and then it's a bit of a process to walk away.
So when you were inside, did you you knew what the repercussions were, but again, it must have been pretty hard. Like your life had all been about freedom before that. What were you doing when you were inside to experience, were you reading books or?
Read lots of books. I was getting lots of letters, and people would send me photos. So I'd be like living vicariously through other people's trips, which was good. And it's sort of when we first got arrested, we met this young Asian dude who was like finishing off a long sentence, and he was getting charged at the station for having a phone on him in jail. So he was going to get an extra 2 years on his sentence.
2 years for a phone. God damn.
And so he was in a pretty full-on Asian fucking heroin gang that had a big imploding and killed everyone. So he was finishing off a murder sentence. And he gave us a lot of rundown of what not to do. And that was good advice. So he asked me, "Do you gamble?" I said, "No." He said, "Well, don't start." And he said, you don't want to be talking too much, but you don't want to be not talking at all. And you just got to be ready. Like, Australia's not like America. If I was in America, I wouldn't be fucking... Like, people say Australians are very racist, but I don't think so. Because in our system, there's race gangs in the jails, but everyone can talk to everyone. That doesn't happen in America.
Right.
So when shit hits the fan, the gangs go together, but it's not like our system's not as bad as America, where you're not forced to join a gang if you don't have a drug problem. It's sort of like I sort of tippy-toed through it, and jumping, I think, helped me. So whenever someone would come into my cell, want to have a chat, I'd be like, and you had to sort of do this. I had to not be how I normally am. So one of the other bits of advice the guy gave me is keep your opinions to your fucking self. If you don't like someone, just keep it in your head. Don't even tell anybody, because it'll get back to that person. You can get stabbed over something stupid. So, I would just say to them, like, if you come in here, let's talk about something, that you want to do when you get out, like, or dreams or something. Like, let's not talk about jail politics bullshit. And they'd see the photos up there. And it was funny, there was an Islander that I was doing time with, and he was, he'd seen the jumping, and he goes, "Oh, I know a base jumper." And I'm like, "Okay, it's pretty small. Who?" And he said the guy's name, and the guy's he's a teacher. He goes into the jails, and in the youth jails, and he tries to help them. So no one likes the screws, but education people, they're looked upon as they want to help you. So they're not hated like the screws are. And
what's a screw?
A corrective services officer.
Okay.
Yeah, it's funny. Like where I live now, we're not too far from the jail. I always joke with my girlfriend. We'll be driving down the road and we'll be going past Silverwater Jail, and I'll be like, "Oh God, it's so traumatizing," looking at that. And then she'd be like, when we first were dating and that, she'd be like, "Oh, I'm sorry," and I'll be like, "No, I'm just taking the piss," But the corrective services vans come in our area to get coffee and that. I still hate them. Still fucking hate them cunts.
Yeah. When Matt interviewed Avery, he said that his jail sentence, or he was in prison, was like really what might have saved his life.
Yep.
Did you feel like maybe taking pause, gave you some time to reflect? No, it was just,
it was just a bit of a break. I'd already sort of was starting to not slow down, but like I'd realised where I was, and I don't think so. I don't think I wouldn't. You don't know, but no.
So how many years had you been base jumping before you got locked up?
6 years.
6 years. And at that point, were you jumping Velcro rigs exclusively?
No.
Yeah.
So I had prisms. I had Velcro rigs, and then I had I had a reactor and a Fox, and then my first Fox, I had to send it back when they'd made the vents, and then I had to send it back because they made the vents with the covers then. So, and then I think I had a couple of prisms. So I really liked the prisms. They were pretty good. And then when I got out, gear had changed a lot. So the last year I was on works release, I was be able to, at my work in the markets, look online, and I was sussing out like what gear I wanted to get. And just before I'd gotten locked up, I did a heli boogie and I met Stain and that. So I'd already decided I wanted to jump their canopies. And then I was like, we had a base forum at the time. It's still there, but no one uses it, an Australian one. And I'd gotten talking with a friend who was the dealer for adrenaline. And when I got out, I bought a heap of new rigs, and I think I ended up selling. I think one of my prisms went to Tom Elio's school, so it's there, and the other one went to a guy that rents out stuff for Bridge Day. So that's pretty cool. And I think Maddie she came back to Australia when she was teaching at Tom's course, and she had my prism when she went around, and then she dropped it back to them.
Did you mentor Maddie?
No.
Okay.
No.
Because she went full on, huh? She was like on the cutting edge of low base jumps.
Yeah. Well, she went to Norway first, it's one of the funniest things. That's one thing I wish that they wouldn't call it a first jump course, because all that course is to help people exit off shrugs so they don't die. But some people, Maddie, and there's been a couple of other people, go over, do that, and then realise, oh fuck, it's not really teaching me much. It is actually, when you think about it, is a first jump course. It's just to get you. And there's a bit of history back. There was I think a Swedish person who was like in charge of safety, and they were trying to ban any Norwegians who got caught base jumping, were kicked out of the Norwegian Federation. They'd just go over and join the Swedish one. So Norway was trying to force Sweden, stop all these Norwegian jumpers, joining. And she's like, no, well, I'm not just going to do that. I'll go and give it a try. Well, she went over there and she went in, but after that, they sort of realised that they needed to do something, and they were the first ones to come up with, like, the pendulator was out of a tree, so that was really good. But some people still go there, and then they have to sort of start again. And Maddie had done that; she went there, but then she met everyone else, and she is amazingly talented. Yeah, that little road trip I was saying before, when Fabian, that Maddie was on that, we went around. That was pretty cool.
Sounds great. Yeah, there isn't a whole lot of real complete courses, but you talked about that a little bit as far as like once you've done a first jump course or even maybe a couple of weeks worth of course, that the key is like getting back to the locals or where you live and getting in with the crew.
Yeah.
there's been a couple of fatalities recently on courses.
Surprises me there haven't been more.
Really? Yeah, right. Sort of wasn't like if, but when.
Yeah.
Do you think that that's something like the industry should be addressing, or is it just sort of like this is part of the game?
Well, I think they are, but it is sort of part of the game. It's like there are so many accidents in Laderbrunn because there's so many jumpers that go there and jump. And if you sort of look at the statistics, it's hard to get actual statistics, but even in the really bad years, with the amount of jumpers jumping now, if it was more dangerous, you'd be seeing 60, 70 deaths a year, 80, 100 deaths a year. So I think it's like massively getting safer. But it's sort of funny. Our sport, it's easy to do. Whereas if you were, say, like a big wave surfer, you need shitloads of skill to do it, but not many of them die. When something goes wrong in base, you got to be quick, make a good decision, and still have a bit of luck. And then there's things that happen that tension knots that just happen, and you have to, deal with that. And yeah, so it's like,
so
I think it is getting safer.
Is like the point of entry is real easy in base,
yeah,
right? Because like with climbing, you have to be able to, even if you want to do a 5:15, you got to make the first move before you can even hurt yourself. But with base, you're like, even with skiing, right? Like you want to do a double black diamond, you have to be able to ski your way to the drop. Yeah. And here it's like you just arrive. Maybe there's a hike or something like that, but you buy some gear, you walk to the edge, and anybody can jump off of a cliff, right? Yeah, I mean, like I think out of all the sports that I do, the base jumping is probably the easiest. Yeah. And it's really like a question of like personal restraint and, knowing when you're not ready for something and a little bit of luck.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it's sort of funny. You can talk your way out of every jump, but sometimes you'll get a feeling. And what I think of that is if you've got a feeling and you still do it anyway, you're not going to be in the best frame of mind. You're not going to react as good. So everything's got to line up. And sometimes it's like, it's not the conditions. It's just you have a weird feeling, and that could be many different things. And it's good to listen to those. Like it might fuck up that day. Your friends will give you a bit of shit, but, you're the one, like you walk away from a jump, you don't have to pack. So that's one benefit.
Yeah, you're all with your friends. Everything's with your friends. It feels like a team, and then you're always alone as soon as that gravity takes over. Yeah, intuition's a crazy thing, right? Like sometimes, like I remember, and I probably have talked about this before, but like I had been living in Chamonix and was jumping Brevant regularly. And, a lot of times it was like either alone or one or two other people. And we took a trip to Italy, and I found myself at Brento at the exit point, and, there was a bunch of Russian accents and a bunch of beginners. And dude, I was so scared. I mean, like just the feeling of anticipation that everybody had, and just the noises and people talking. And I was like, man, I can't wait to get back to Brevant where I feel comfortable. It doesn't make any sense as far as safety wise, right? But like it was real. Yeah. And so yeah, it's like that, like what you said earlier as well about like talking about your negative feelings at the exit point. Man, your sensitivity is so heightened. Everybody is so sensitive. Some people more than others, but yeah, it's pretty wild. The exit point can be an interesting place mentally.
Yeah. Yeah, so if I've got a feeling that like I don't want to jump, and generally if I've made my mind up, that's it. And because generally it's not as much the conditions, or sometimes it is a little bit, but I'm like, nah, just not feeling it. And yeah, when there's big loads or small loads, doesn't really matter. I'll just let everyone jump and then just be like, no, I'm not jumping.
Yeah, thankfully I've been always really pretty comfortable walking down. You mentioned that fatality earlier of your buddy, and you were saying like, oh, I've got to go. Or no, sorry, it was the guy that went first.
Yep.
The gozies, right? What we call it, like that urge to jump and just. Yeah. Have you ever had that feeling? Have you seen it in your partners that are jumping? Your buddies?
I've had it a couple of times when I've been like, I want to get the fuck off here. Like waiting around, it's either only going to get worse or, it's because that happens often. Not often, but like when it does, I'll just sort of speak up and be like, I want to exit now. And it's like when people have a bit of a whinge at the drop zone at Brento. I've never had it when, like, if I want to exit, you've only got to say to someone, hey, can I go? And most people are like, yeah, no problems. You know what I mean? So it's a little bit different now with a little bit more rules of you've got to wait until they're a certain way. But that's, I think, good. Like what I've seen happening lately at Brento, I think it's good and positive. Like them trying to like keep that site open.
Brento is an interesting example because there's been rules instituted like gradually over the years now. And what are the rules? Because I haven't been there for years.
Well, I think it's still like, I don't know if it's 22 or 25 seconds under canopy, and that's pretty much to stop the guys pulling low as they go over that last little ridge, because after that it actually goes up and landing in the trees short. So I think that's sort of a good thing. It's because when I go there, if I'm two-piece tracking, I'm just going straight for the heliport, or if I'm flying my onesie, I'm like pulling back a bit. I'm not flying as good as a lot of my friends are. I don't care if I make it to the landing area. I want to open safely. I don't want to land in the fucking trees. So but there's lots of people that are like, okay, just go lower, I'll go further. And that all they can do is you just don't get a lift. You can't use the taxi up. But then when I was there last time...
Wait, so if you pull low,
I think you get a warning.
Right? Okay.
And then you get... It matters if it's a lot lower. I think you're maybe like red carded. But if you miss it, I think you get 2 goes. And then just for the rest of that season, you can't get the taxi up.
Okay, so that's how it's enforced. So then whoever gives you the card... Who's giving the cards out?
I think it's still sort of through the Italian-based association, but it's changed a little bit. When I was there last time, there's been a little bit of dramas between the access has to be a 4-wheel drive. So none of the vans used to be 4-wheel drives, and there's they've got a big tank. It's like a fucking, but it's easier now just to get off at St. Giovanni and hike. It's faster, and it's when I went back last time, I got it all the way around, and it's like, no, it's much easier just to get off at St. Giovanni and do you're not going to get stuck waiting for the 4-wheel drive one to come, or there's some other 4-wheel drive. There's a bit of like dramas between the Brento taxi service and this other guy.
Okay, so there's some competition on who's like doing the shuttling kind of thing?
Yes, that's always been going on back as far as when you had Fabian with, when he was doing his shit. But, I don't know. I think Brento's, they got to do something. Otherwise, like when they had that guy turn up in the valley, when he'd bought the wingsuit, had his skydive rig, I think he was was he a French Foreign Legion
right, but
dude,
from Singapore or something like that?
So they knew at the valley, and it's just sad that no one took a photo of his face. Well, as soon as he left there, of course, he's going to go straight to Brento. And I've heard conflicting things, that he went in on his first one there, or he got one and then he died on the second. And no one's 100% sure, I don't think.
Yeah, that's a ridiculous fatality.
Yeah.
I mean, poor kid didn't have any wherewithal of what he was doing whatsoever. Yeah. And it's kind of sad that it wasn't able to been caught by a fellow jumper. A lot of base jumping kind of relies on self-policing.
Yeah.
And do you think we're doing a good job? Do you think?
To a degree, because it's hard. People find it hard to pull someone up, because then that person's going to be like, oh, you're the fucking fun stopper or something like that. But I think it's always better. Like if you see a friend, you might be pushing it too hard, and it's always better for your own peace of mind to say something. At least you've said something. And if he goes in, you're like, well, I fucking told him. But then again, like, I think people that are really pushing it, they're the ones that move the sport forward. And as long as they know, and most of them do, that the smallest mistake, they're dead, but they still want to do it, then no one should really be saying you shouldn't be doing it. But you're always going to see your friends doing something and out of concern for them, and you should say something. But you've also got to say it not in a way that is going to have them second guessing.
That's tough, right?
Yeah, it's really fucking hard.
Do you have some personal examples of people that you reached out to and said like, hey man, you got to reel it back in?
Oh, there was one guy and he ended up going in I think we went in the Valley, a French guy. And yeah, I sort of tried to pull him back a little bit, and it was just a bit reckless. And it got to the stage that like I'll help people as much as I can, but then once I've decided that's it, then I didn't really give a shit. He fucking went in. I didn't care.
Yeah, what you said just now about, having that sense of peace that you gave him the information, and he decided to do whatever he wants, that can come back and haunt you, right? Like there's been a couple of people, for me at least, where like that just kind of nags at me that like I could have been a little bit more firm. I could have shared a little bit more insight on what was going on.
Would that have actually made a difference?
Maybe not.
Yeah, but it would have made a difference for you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right, because I would have said I've done everything I can.
Yep. But then even at the time, it might have made you feel bad saying it. But in the end, yeah, it's a hard one. But I definitely think, people got to take a bit of criticism, and you should always because when people see their friends going hard, they maybe don't see all the stuff that's going on that they're doing to allow them to do that. So that's one of the things we don't see. But then, like when Jay went in, I thought he was going to go in many years ago, and then he knuckled down, did a shitload of training, but it just enabled him to push fucking harder.
Which Jay?
Jay Driscoll.
Okay.
But he was like, he'd originally got tattooed under his eyelids, Party Impact, and he was spewing at the end of his first trip because he was expecting to go in. And then he had a big credit card debt. So, yeah, he was under no illusions. Like, I'm pretty sure he knew he was going to die wingsuiting, but,
yeah,
we were hoping he'd last a bit longer.
There's some that are here just to have a good time, not a long time.
Yeah. Well, that is, like, if you live till you're 90 and you've done nothing, that's a boring life. But if you've packed a lot in and you maybe die earlier, who are we to say that that's a waste? Like, you'd want that person to enjoy it for longer, but yeah, everyone's got their own. You're born, you're going to die. It's just what you're going to pack in between when you're born and when you're dead.
For me, the most tragic fatalities are the ones that are based on ignorance. Like they didn't know something. They had no idea that they were pushing it that super hard. They just didn't put it together. They were thinking that they were, calculated, that everyone likes to say, and they knew what they were doing. And then, boom, they didn't realize something.
Well, there's a lot of people that in their own head, they know they shouldn't be there. But for whatever reason, they've got themselves in that situation. They want to keep going, and they just pushing it back in their head. So, yeah, a lot of time, people just got to be honest with themselves.
You were saying that a lot of times people who are pushing the boundaries are the one that progress the sport. Can you elaborate on that a little bit?
Well, if you go back and you look at, like when you listen to the guys in the really early days, we're sort of blown away. We wouldn't do what they did, them not knowing about the gear, but they, pushed through it and enabled everyone else to come along. So if you go back to the people like starting proximity tracking, you had Coombsy, you had Ted Rudd, and like they allowed people's minds to be opened up to what could be done. And yeah, it's, as soon as you see someone get past a certain limit of something, it tells you in your head, fuck, that is possible. So yeah, it's like that with anything. It's like that with, sending the man into moon, sending people into space. As soon as you do those sort of things, it opens up so many possibilities. But you get that in every sport. There's the people that push it, and sadly, like a lot of them will die, but they're going to die anyway.
So Ted was one of those guys that everybody was really looking up to when I was getting involved. And my first year, well, before I was even, I had done some slider down jumping. I just wasn't ready for big walls yet. But I was in Norway, and I bumped into him. And man, super charismatic dude. He just was one of those people that just emanated energy, and everybody was attracted to it. In our sport, we kind of say like legends never die, but you move forward a couple of generations and people just forget about you.
Yeah, that's one of the sad things. It's like so many people have no idea who Ted Rudd is, and like I'll be talking to someone, I'm like, oh, send them a link and watch this. And they're like, oh, fuck. But you're sort of, the guys starting now are watching the cutting edge guys only for the last 4 or 5 years. I like that was one of the good things when the Sunshine Superman thing came out, where they digitized all that awesome footage. And luckily for us, Carl Bainish took fucking footage of everything. And it's like there's so much history. This podcast and other podcasts, I think, what is it, the Lunatic Fringe one, where he spoke to Mo Valletta. That was amazing.
Yeah, it kind of keeps the conversation going.
Yeah.
I mean, we've had this conversation before, but like every couple of generations, like this, everybody seems to make the same mistakes and learn the same lessons. And that's what's so powerful about being around a campfire with some of the old timers, right? Is like you get to experience that knowledge and don't need to make those same mistakes again. I mean, that's kind of like what we wanted with this podcast is, like when I was learning to jump, I was still really inexperienced when I moved to Moab. I had a handful of jumps, and people around me were saying I was ready, and I'd been really practicing my accuracy skills and everything like that. So it wasn't like I was jumping ahead of my skill there, but definitely learned a lot. And one of the things that was amazing is like there was like 10 local jumpers, maybe maybe less, and I got to hang out with Rich Webb all the time, and Diego and these guys who had been there for a long time and be around these campfires. But now, people go to Turkey Boogie and they roll in and there's hundreds of jumpers, and the chance of being able to sit around a campfire with somebody who's got something to say is pretty fucking rare.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it's sort of that time has passed a bit. You can't there are still those things happening in different drop zones around the world. But yeah, it's when you're going to go somewhere like Turkey Boogie, it's massive. That would be happening, but in small little subsets, and those people maybe don't want 50, 60 people hanging out with them. They just want to be hanging out with their group of friends, and there might be 1 or 2 friends that those people will bring along. So they'll get to, get to listen to those stories. But all the different podcasts that are out, like that's one of the things I like. I love the history of bass and what's going on now. So all the different podcasts are fucking great.
You seem to have a lot of patience because you are, you mentor people. You're there to answer questions, and you seem to be able to talk to a lot of people. I mean, is this a sense of giving back to what you received?
Yep.
Or yeah.
Yeah, 100%. Like I look at, my mentor said to me, like always try to give back. And that can be as much as, helping someone else, teaching them, giving them some advice, sending them somewhere, doing a jump with them, talking to them, just any little thing, finding an exit point, being involved in a rescue. There's lots of fucking things. You always should give something back instead of just take.
It can be really rewarding, right? I mean, like even just going on a jump with somebody to Lamousse or here in Maglon, like in the winter, usually the jumping stays, to the lower cliff if there's not too much snow. And that's like really the time of year where I like meet all of the newer jumpers. Yeah. And man, it can be so much fun. Yeah. It's like the amount of stoke that people have when they're, in their first 100 jumps is insane. Yeah. And it feels good. It can be really fun. Yeah. And that can be a way of giving back.
Yeah. Like that's the thing. it doesn't have to be something full on, but you should always try to, help someone because someone helped you. So, but then again, you got to, when you see people making stupid decisions and stuff and you're like, well, just all you had to do is ask a few people and you wouldn't have made that stupid decision. But sometimes you got to make a mistake, and if you learn from it, great. But when people make mistakes and don't learn from it, then they're sort of, I wouldn't say lost cause, but like it's very easy to get ostracized, and that's not really where you want to be.
Have you been good at predicting who's going to go in?
No, I've had a few. Like I've got a list of my own of people I want to see go in. So I've had a few of them over the years, and I've had some little celebrations. But
check.
but it's a funny thing I'll say to people. It's like if you're doing something stupid, you're going to go in. Like you said before, it won't take long. No one's going to really remember you, except for people like your family. Maybe your significant other. They're the ones that are really going to miss you. And so it's like, don't be a fucking dickhead and rein it in a little bit and try to, like get through that stupid phase. Everyone does it. Everyone has a stupid phase, but you can sort of take it with, you don't have to be rushing as much, and you got more of a chance of getting through there.
Are you having more fun now than you did back in the day? Is it something that's changed? Is the way that you've things that you get out of jumping changed throughout the years?
Yeah, yes and no. Like for me, it's all about the visuals and the places. Like it's funny, my girlfriend loves hiking. I don't like hiking, but when I'm hiking to a jump, I enjoy the hike. But if I was just going out hiking for hiking's sake, I would be whinging, I'd be miserable, but I'd love nature, I love being in the mountains, and I love sneaking around buildings. I can't do that as often nowadays, but I still get the same things, and it's for me, it's the feeling like when your feet just leave the exit point. I love that point of no return and pushing off, and then that moment is beautiful.
It's a magic moment. Yeah. The whole world seems to go still. You're not thinking about anything else.
Yeah.
I think that's like something that's like pretty common for most of us. Is like that moment of stillness, that flow state that we get. It's like an escape. The world makes sense. All of our problems seem to just disappear.
Yeah.
And that landing where you get that flood of all the feel goods.
Yeah, it's like endorphins that'll be rushing through your brain. It's pretty amazing.
Have you found anything else that gives you something similar?
When I used to bodyboard a lot, a few waves we used to surf around Cronulla, similar, but I grew up in the western suburbs of Sydney, so Cronulla was the only train you could get right to the beach. So we were always outsiders, and I stopped surfing because of the aggro in the surf. And then when I started jumping, there was no aggro. Even you're on Brento with 50 other people, you're stoked watching people jump. It's a good thing to be around. Whereas surfing, when it gets too crowded, there's only so many waves that come in. So it's a shit fight, and people get really angry and aggressive, where you don't get that in base jumping. In skydiving,
that was something that I really didn't like about surfing too. I wasn't afraid to scrap. It was pretty intense in the jiu-jitsu at the time, and I had no problems doing what was needed to get done. But that almost passive aggressive or just unspoken rules about things that I didn't understand and people getting angry. It was just it didn't make me feel good. And for sure with jumping is for one, we don't have to share a wave. So it's there's plenty of airspace for everyone. And that was definitely something that really attracted me to base. It was wow, everyone's stoked.
Yeah. It's when you were saying before, there's my earlier career when I was jumping in Moscow. I was lucky to go for the I think it was the 2004 one, the second of the Oskinkino Tower boogies, and there's no event anywhere in the world that'll ever be as good as that place. Like they had a underground club that was around the corner from the FSB fucking office. It was amazing. And like the tower was cool as fuck. It had caught fire a few years before, and they were like, it had nearly going to fall over, and it was getting rebuilt. So we had like a little crane that would take all our rigs up, and then you had to hike it to the top. But that place was like landing area right below you. It's 530 meters. It's like, yeah, that was awesome.
So it was like leaning over. It even had like a built-in.
The lean was very minor, but
Okay.
when the fire was on, you can go online and search for it, and you'll see that the whole thing's on fire. They thought it was going to completely fall over. But yeah, like that event was amazing, and it was funny when we did the record there. A bit earlier than that, I was on I think it was an 8 or a 9 way, and I pulled really low, so I lost my low slot on the big way, which sucked because the low slots are the safest.
Right.
So I got pushed back a bit, where I think I had to do like a 8-second delay, and you've got people right in front of you, right next to you, right behind you, a lot more stress. So yeah, it was funny on that jumper I pulled low. My mate Den, he had line twists on his wingsuit, and he smashed through a glass house. Yeah, but then when the big way happened, there was one person who he didn't get on the load, but he just joined it on the end.
Surprise.
And it was because you had the land, like it's so much better of an object than KL Tower, any of them. You've got a massive landing area right below you. You know, it's not as overhung as like KL Tower is, but you can use a lot more of the height, so you can actually get a lot further away from the object. So you can pull lower. It's a lot safer than what KL is or any of the other towers that you have around the world. But yeah, my Russian mate said there'll never be another one.
Russia's kind of shut down right now.
Yeah. Well, I was lucky. I got caught up with Stas before he went back. So when I went last year, we were in Miu, and I'd fucked up the dates, and I'd missed Momo by a few days, but it worked out really good because Stas was there. He'd had a bit of an injury. He wasn't jumping, but we just hung with him in the little campground. He was doing a little bit of work there. And that was actually the highlight of the fucking trip, just chilling with him. And it was funny when we were talking, he was pretty young at the time, and he was good friends with my tattooist, Natalia, and they were both talking and were like, oh, come down and watch the base jumping. And I'd never known this until he told me this before. And they were like, oh, there's this fucking Australian guy, big dreadlocks. Like they'd seen base jumping and always thought it was like Valeri, very professional, very this. And they were like, nah, it's a bit wild. So yeah, I thought that was funny. And did you ever meet Rape Van?
No.
Adam? So it's a funny thing. He started jumping in Australia, and then he came out in 2012. And
his name was Rape Van.
Well, his name was Adam. And when he came out here, he had an orange van, and he'd nicknamed, so it was 2012, he nicknamed the van Rape Van. And there was a few Adams in the valley that year, and I said, well, we've got to give you a better nickname than that. And I said, we're going to call you Rape Van. And he's like, that's fucking bullshit. Like, that's dumb. I told enough people were calling him it. But then he ended up like taking it in. He got a mate to make a logo up. He got the logo on his rig, on his container. He got "I will rape you," and Jean Noel was like, "Are you sure he wants to get this on there?" But he was going out with Teen, a German jumper, and they were back at his parents' place, and they were going through old stuff. And the thing happened about like I always like asking people like, what got you thinking about base jumping? There might have been something. And for him, he was in Verdon climbing. He used to be a really good climber. And he was telling Teen, oh yeah, I was in Verdon years ago, and there were some jumpers there, and I met some jumpers, and I took some photos of them. And they went looking for the photos. Boom, 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 boom. There's a photo of me jumping. And I couldn't even remember him there. So it would have been, my girlfriend at the time was a jumper, and I think he asked Kid. So we jumped Von Deseron, and he was climbing one of the routes near us, and we'd landed, gone back, packed, and we were going to jump Tres Scare. And he like asked, oh, can I take a photo? I'm just like, yeah, whatever, just fucking keep your voice down because she's trying to concentrate. But yeah, just the spin out of, and then coming full circle and jumping with him a lot that year in 2012. And he was an amazing jumper, but we were all sure he was going to fucking die base jumping. And then he got through it. He stopped base jumping, took up paragliding, and then he got into acro. And then, yeah, sadly, he went in doing some acro shit, lost height awareness and sputtered in the valley, which was very fucking sad because he spoke to a few people a few days before and they said, like, you know, they got a boat on the lake where they'll pull you up and you can practice there. But no, he wanted to do it down. And they normally what they do is they fly over and they do it over the other side of the road, over the trees. But he'd lost height awareness a couple of flights before, and one of my mates was talking to him, and yeah, he just didn't think when he spoke to that person saying, "Oh, I fucking lost height awareness and that," and not checking himself. And that was a bit of a fucking waste.
That's one thing that paragliding has taught me, is that trees are your friends.
Yeah.
You know, like I used to pull over the grass because I want, you know, if I have something happen, that at least I'll be able to land in the grass. And then, you know, watching all these videos of paragliders going into the trees, you know, and then taking a bunch of SIV, it was like, okay, you know, aim for the trees because it's way softer. Yeah. It just messes up your gear. So now every time I jump, it's like I'm either trying to pull over some water, which can be, I mean, sketchy as fuck, but trees, you know, definitely your friends.
Yeah.
I mean, you have a tension knot or line twist or whatever. I mean, I've had 3 or 4 tree landings, and, you know, except for it being a pain and like relying on your friends to bring some rope and stuff like that, man, none of my gear's ever been damaged even by the trees. I mean, that was a learning experience for me. Do you have we talked about Ted. Is there any other people that you miss?
Yeah, there's lots, but it's funny. You sort of, so many years goes past and I wouldn't say gone from your memory, but it's that long ago. You sort of, you just push the memory away. So yeah, I think when I started jumping, there was 42 on the list. Luckily, one thing I'm glad of, I have never had to witness one. I've been very close, missed the load, said to my friend, I'll catch up later. And then she went in the valley, and it sucked, but it was good. I got to see her again. But yeah, I'm very fucking fortunate that hadn't had to, like, I think there was a time when, who the fuck was it that went in Gudvangen? Fuck. And
yeah, exactly.
The guys were like, oh, we're going to go and like view the body. I'm like, why would you want to fucking do that? What, you know, there's no other wingsuiter that's just gone in. It's 100% him. Why do you want to go and look at his mangled fucking body? You want to remember him as he was. Like, if you're there and you've got to deal with it, then okay, that's the thing. But don't go over to fucking, like, that's just going to fucking mess you up.
Back in the day, you know, like 2015, 2016, like I wanted to see all the fatality videos. I wanted to analyze everything.
I still like watching fatality videos.
Not me. I saw enough. I've seen a bunch of people die in person too, so that maybe that's a little bit adds to the situation. But yeah, for me, it was like back in the day, I wanted to see all of it. I wanted to see what it looks like and everything. And now it's just like, you know, like I barely read the list.
Well, I think it's looking at stuff and the list. I think it's really good because it sort of, when you watch videos, generally you only see everything going good. I think, who was it? Valley Base Gear. They done a little video of all their fuck ups, and that was fucking hilarious.
That was a great video.
And I don't think anyone else has ever done, like, I don't know who did another one. Someone else did one that might have been the Flying Frenchies.
You mentioned Rudy earlier. He has I don't know, something like 30 tree landings or something, and he has like built this montage of tree landings.
He doesn't get the recognition that he fucking deserves, that cunt. That is someone.
I've been trying, man. I've been trying. He's busy.
Fucking just tell the cunt.
I got to get him.
Well, eventually you'll get him. Tell him not to go in until you interview him. See, then he'll interview you. You'll interview him, and then he'll be like, shit.
Well, this is a warning to everybody that we've reached out to and hasn't been recording with us yet. We've had 2 people that we reached out to and just scheduling issues happened and now they're dead. So you better record with us or you're going to die.
Yeah, but Rudy's like some of the stuff he does and he's done, it's fucking amazing. And he was good from like when we met him in Verdun. He was just...
Well, he's one of those few people who's remained consistent for years and years and years and years and years, and really like dedicated his life to it.
The funny thing too is when he came to Australia the first time, a lot of his mates were like, "Why the fuck do you want to go there?" And he loves his slider down jumping as well. And he's like, "No, I've always wanted to go to Australia." And him and do you ever remember the Mario brothers?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, so they opened, there's a jump in Australia called Redneck Wonderland, and that was opened by Rudy and the 2 Mario brothers.
Two Australians, right?
2 brothers, and we call them the Mario brothers because they're both plumbers and Italian. And they're very super low-key wingsuiters, very talented. I think Tony's still, maybe he's still living in Switzerland.
Okay.
I think he was, but they just dropped off the radar. They never really had a social media presence, but they were fucking amazing dudes.
Yeah, those were the guys back in the day, I remember, and just randomly bumped into one of them on my way to what we all called Young Frau at the time, Melkstuhl.
Yeah.
And I got a chance to hike with him and chat for, it wasn't a very, he wasn't much of a conversationalist, but I mean, it was cool for me because it was like, he was like one of the most experienced guys at the time. And I was like, picking his brain and yeah, it was really cool. Definitely looked up to those guys, some characters.
Yeah, so it's like Rudy coming out to Australia was really fucking cool. It was really good seeing him there. And he's been out there twice now. He came back a little bit later. But yeah, I caught up with him a little while ago. We bumped past. He was jumping, doing some flights across the Jungfrau, but from the other side. Have you seen any of that footage?
Mm-hmm. It's amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think he's put it out yet. Like,
I don't think he puts out any videos.
He's done a bit of stuff. He's made some stuff, but yeah, it's a shame. Like, if the cunt ever goes in, he needs to make sure that people have access to all of his footage to get it out there.
Do you have any other people that are like, you have their footage and they're like, hey, release this if I go in?
No, not really.
Yeah. But that's not a bad idea, right?
No, it's like, that's one of the things when there's a couple of guys trying to organise a history of Australian base jumping, and the footage of Dwayne over the years, most of it's been lost, and it's a bit of a shame. And but yeah, that's sort of the thing. Most people will die and their stuff is just hidden away on a fucking hard drive somewhere, and their family won't know, and they end up just getting thrown away. So yeah, like, you want to make sure that that's one of your things, that, someone that you trust, you leave them or your hard drives in your fucking will, and actually having a fucking will.
Yeah, that's being prepared for the worst, right? Expecting the best, preparing for the worst.
Yeah.
Having a will, having insurance.
Will, insurance, having people know what you want to do if you don't want to be buried. The worst thing is when I know people that want to get cremated and they die, no one knows, their family wants to bring their body back. It costs a fucking ridiculous amount of money. They do a crowdfunding and they didn't even want, they wanted to be fucking cremated, but the parents just want to bring them back. So having people know your wishes and for them to respect them. And sometimes it's pretty hard to get a family member. If the mum wants to bring the body back, she wants to bring the fucking body back. But like, I want to get fucking cremated just because it's the cheapest. And I don't believe in fucking all the bullshit that goes around funerals and stuff.
No, yeah. I mean, cremating's for me as well. But I think a lot of people don't really quite understand that the family's in shock after something happens, and like just having a will and even just a piece of paper, like explaining to them what you want to do with your belongings and your gear. And it can be massively helpful just to make those decisions.
Yeah, because a lot of times the parents, they want it to go to someone that you would want to, but they're not fucking mind readers, you know? So if you've got gear and you want to, some people are just like, sell it and get the money and use that for whatever. But some people are like, oh, I'd like these people to have it. You got to tell people. Otherwise it's not going to get there.
GoFundMe is a bit of a meme for our community at this point.
I fucking hate them. It's like I got stuck on a wall, ended up having to be rescued, and there was ended up costing me 10 grand. And one of my mates was like, oh, you should do a GoFundMe. And I'm like, no, it was my stupid decision that got me on that ledge. It wasn't my decision for the person to decide to call the police, but I had to deal with the ramifications, and I was able to get all base jumping stuff quashed from the record, pled guilty to 2 charges that were, even climbing in that area, unless you're signed into a book, that's illegal. Well, not illegal, but you need a permit for it. And I was like, well, I'm the one that fucked up, so I'm the one that should pay for it. So whenever I see GoFundMes, in certain ways I have been involved in some of them, but then they've more been about like years ago when Taz had an injury, and I think I was like, said to people, if you get your gear, I'll donate 10% of what I make to her. But that was me. It's not that person's not going to cost them anything extra. It was just my way of sort of like helping her out a little bit. But the actual GoFundMe's, yeah, it's a bit bullshit. If you got insurance, like so many people don't get actual travel insurance. And some of the things, like years ago when I did my first trip, there was an insurance company called Amigo. It was overseas medical emergency. It doesn't exist anymore. Like, it's really difficult for Australians to get insurance that covers you. So it's sort of like a combination. And then, if you're getting pulled off a wall, well, there's no way around that. But if you're, smashed up somewhere else in a landing area, you can get out of it. But if you don't have any insurance, you're fucked.
Yeah, I spend, I think, almost 400 euros a year now on insurance. I don't really know, because I think that...
Are you still getting the one through the French Space Association?
I am, yeah.
Yeah, because I think, we used to be able to get it, but then they changed the wording a bit. I think there was a big rescue of repatriation in America back, and I think that cost them a fucking shitload, and then they just changed the wording. So you've got to be a Schengen resident, I think, don't you?
Yeah. I mean, don't quote me on this. I'm not exactly sure. I know it applies for me living in France. As far as Schengen goes, I'm not exactly sure, but yeah, I mean, it's definitely amazing insurance for us, and we're really lucky about that. I know people visiting can get Rega, if they're going to be rescued by helicopter, that'll be, cover everything, and that can add up real quick in Switzerland. Is there anything else that you get?
Well, it's Italy, like Australia has agreements with different countries. So like in Norway, heli rescues are free. In Italy, heli rescues are free. And then there's like certain amount of medical stuff that like our government has an agreement. So a Norwegian in Australia, they get injured, they just show their passport and they get treated like an Australian because Australia has that agreement. So,
so the rescue is free, and then when you get to the hospital, the medical
certain things are covered. Yeah, and like different countries would have these different agreements. So, and they change. So it's like when they do the trade agreements, these agreements are hidden in amongst there where, different countries sort of like, oh, well, we want our person looked after, you want yours, let's make this agreement. And then, so generally that'll cover things, and then whatever's not, then your insurance picks it up. But yeah, the Rega's is really good, but it doesn't, it's funny, it's patronism,
it'll repatriate.
You're a patron.
Okay, right.
And if you're rescued by a Rega helicopter, it's fully covered. But if you're rescued by another one, you've got to put a claim in, and then Rega will decide if they want to cover it. So it's not 100% that they will, but they normally do.
And you got to be real quick about it too, right?
Yeah.
Like within the next day or two. Yep. Yeah, because we've had a couple of our friends who have had an injury and had been rescued, or just went straight to hospital and just assumed that their insurance was going to cover it, and then they were like outside of the window, and then boom, fucked. So what other, is there any other insurance that, as an Australian that you get? No, that's
we're
it.
fucked.
Yeah. Okay.
So it's sort of that also should go into your thinking of how you're jumping, and be ready that if you're putting yourself more out there, then you've got all those things that can happen down the track. So it's a bit different. If you're covered, you can push it a bit more, but if you're not, it could be very fucking costly.
Yeah, so you're worried about the landing area. There's too many rocks, or you're unsure. You're like, wow, this could cost me, upwards of 10, 20, 30 grand.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a definite thing to consider before. So you just landed and you're starting a trip. How long's your trip going to be?
6 weeks.
6 weeks. Oh, wow, that's nice.
So driving up to Norway, spend 2 weeks up there by myself, go catch up with some friends, and then my girl lands on the 2nd of July in Oslo, and then we drive over to Sweden, visit some friends, because I've transited through and driven through Sweden to get up to Norway, but I've never spent any time. So we're going to spend a little bit of time in Sweden, a little bit of time in Finland, flying up to Lapland,
wow,
and then going to Estonia, going to the boogie there, and Tallinn as a city looks fucking amazing. So it's funny. I'll be there for 4 days. And after the jumping, there's heaps of shit we want to see. And then we're going to Latvia and Lithuania, and I always get them confused, which one's which. And then through to Poland, and then down to, I'm not even sure what the country's called now, where Prague is. It's not Czech Republic anymore. It's called...
Is it not?
No. It's good. It's got a chain. I don't know when it happened. If you look on your maps, you'll see it's like Chechnya or something. I don't know how to pronounce it.
It's definitely not Chechnya.
Well, it's not Chechnya, but it's, if you go on Google, have a look, and you'll see the name. Don't do it now. Do it later. Or you can do it now.
I feel stupid.
And then, so we're going to Prague, and then we'll head back to the valley, and we'll go through Munich and go to some of the beer halls. So yeah, it should be good.
Sounds like Chechnya.
Chechnya. See, it's...
Yeah. Man, I still call it Czech Republic.
Yeah, I still look... I said to someone Czech Republic, and looked at me like, that's not... I don't know when that fucking happened.
God, I work in European news and I'm still an ignorant American.
Well, when I was looking at our thing, I never even knew, because I love history. There's a small part of Russia it's where Poland is, and it's a little triangle. It's fully separated, and it's an area. They kept it after the Second World War and the Cold War, and they still got it. It's the only port that doesn't freeze over, and it's fucking right there. It's weird as fuck.
So your base trip, in quotes, is like a sightseeing, lifestyle, vacation trip.
Yeah. So I'll be doing a lot of jumps in Norway, and my girl doesn't not like Norway, but she's had a few times in the past where she hasn't felt good there. So, and she hasn't been able to skydive, or she hasn't skydived since COVID, so she's not jumping this trip. She said, because normally we go to France, get her current, but we're not starting in France, so she's just like, I'm not jumping on this trip, which is sort of good. We don't have to worry about that, her jumping if she hurts herself, because she hurt her ankle on her last trip, and that was a fucking nightmare.
It's complicated.
Yeah.
And then it gets complicated when she goes back to work too, huh?
Well, she didn't want to, she jokes and says that I was like making her like, I'll take you to the hospital. But I actually wanted her to go to the hospital. Bought crutches, were in the valley. She didn't want to use them. She was just hobbling around. She's like, nah, it's just a sprain. She gets back. It's still giving her dramas. She goes, gets it x-rayed, broken leg. And she's hobbling around on it.
Tough one.
Yeah. So, yeah, I don't have to worry about that happening, because when that happened, I had to do all the fucking driving. So I'd planned on, okay, we're going to be driving here. Well, we could share that, because you had to, when you got to meet certain ferries, you got to book them at a certain time. So I think we done 2 weeks in Ireland, and we got back, and we had to get over to get the channel back. And I pretty much had to drive non-stop from Wales to the port where you get the channel. I think we pulled up at a service station around the corner. I had maybe 35 minutes or an hour's sleep before we had to check in, and that would have been much easier if we were both driving.
No, that's exhausting. we talked a little bit about gear, but man, there's been a massive evolution in gear since when you started. Where do you think we are with gear? How do you feel about it? What about this trend in moving to lightweight stuff?
Yeah, it's like, it's funny. You sort of look back and you're thinking, what else can happen? But so much has happened already. But the lightweight gear, I like it. But every manufacturer's had their issues with it, and some cop more shit than others. But all of them have had their problems. I think you just gotta like understand, make sure it's gonna suit what you want to do. And I'm just a little bit annoyed that fucking pink isn't available. Years ago, I tried getting Matt and Marty and Apex and Airtear to say, look, just get a big roll of pink made up, send it out between you all, and then we'll have pink ultralight. No, they won't do it.
Now manufacturers don't really.
And now a lot of them are stopping their F111. There's no pink available through like Airtear, and I think Apex aren't getting any. They're stopping making a lot of the fluorescent colours, but then there's other fluorescent colours popping up. I'm like, fucking cunts.
Well, Squirrel's got pink.
Yeah, but I only wanted to get a new. So I still got. What have I got? I got an Outlaw, and I still like my Outlaw. Doesn't flare that good. I do want to replace it, but I still like it. And then
what do you like about it?
About my Outlaw?
Well, I loved my Outlaw for wingsuiting because, man, I could be like in the crosswind with funky body position, and bam, that thing would open so predictably.
Yeah, it's pretty good in deep breaks. It's pretty good, but its flare sucks. So that's a downside to it.
You got to pull those front risers and build some speed.
Yeah, to a degree. In Australia, it's a little bit difficult because if you misjudge it, where your feet land is where you're stopping. So yeah, but like I like it. I still like it, but I do want to replace it. I think I'm going to eventually replace it with a Hayduke too, and then I want to get one of the Ibex ultralights with fucking the Crux ultralight, just so I've got that because all my European ones are too small. My old Trangos and stuff, and I got a small like OSP lightweight, and it's too little. So I do want to get something that's nice and light, and you get that bit of a discount with the years, so that's makes it pretty nice. And my mate Jeff Weatherall, he had one. I had a look at him, and I was like, "Fuck, that's nice."
It's super nice.
Yeah, so I want to get one of them.
I got 2 of them. It's amazing. Yeah, I really like that gear. I mean, I think that all the manufacturers are making really good gear now, and some better than others. But yeah, I'm super happy with my gear. The parachute works amazing. The heading performance is awesome. Penetration is great. Yeah, it's good. What else what are you excited about these days?
Gear wise?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, it's interesting watching how like the different manufacturers because I think Squirrel's given a lot of manufacturers a bit of a kick up the arse, and some of it, the ramifications of that have been good and bad. It's made customer service from some of the other manufacturers better. But Squirrel, I think, was in a good place when they came in. They were able to, like, one of the interesting things is the pilot chutes. And it was funny, I was looking back at an email of one manufacturer, and they were talking about the vented, like the ring vent style. So pretty much everyone was just trying to copy Marty's Toxics. And whereas Squirrel were able to come in and go, we're going to make this. They didn't have to be already making, well, Marty was making, he still makes them, his standard ones. But I think that was a smart choice, not from Squirrel, not doing both. And Adrenaline have now, like, they've come up with their pitch, which is sort of like it's a mix between like a 3D, but it's also got the same sort of ring style venting as the Toxic. And like Apex has got theirs. Everyone's like doing theirs. They are a little bit more complex to make, but they do perform better. So I wish that all the manufacturers would just get rid of the standard ones, except for I reckon they are better for your static line ones. Because there's
the snatch force is more immediate.
It's that, and if it gets damaged a little bit, which it can get damaged pretty easy, you're not damaging a fucking 250 US or Euro pilot chute.
Right, because it's dragging across the ground sometimes. Yeah, okay.
But then, like each manufacturers, I'm pretty sure Apex will most probably keep both, because there are some people that don't believe in the ring vent style that they've got, so they're gonna want to. These have worked for me, so I think they'll keep. And I think Adrenaline only offer really small sizes in their standard. They've only got their pitches, so that's pretty good, I think. So the pilot chutes, it's expensive, like when people get them, because I can remember years ago, Dwayne having a conversation with some people, and they were like, "No, we just get a really big pilot chute," and they would run an elastic band up to curve it in. They go, "No, we just have the one pilot chute for everything."
So they would diminish the size by using a rubber band.
Fucking stupid.
I never even heard that. That's amazing.
It's like, well, that I'm pretty sure you can not go out a few nights on the drink and afford to buy a full range of pilot chutes that are going to work better in each, So, yeah, I think that's been a good thing, seeing all the manufacturers embrace that sort of. They've all got their own take on it, which is interesting. And I find it interesting how different manufacturers look at the same thing and just how they decide and they're very similar, but they're all very different. So I think it's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's nice to have choices.
Yeah.
So is there any big jumps that you're looking to do? Is there anything that is still exciting for you in terms of what you want to get done, or is it just
on this trip or in the future?
In general.
Yeah, well, I want to get back to skydiving and downsize in my wingsuits, and then size up to the suit I sort of want to have, and then go back and jump a lot of the jumps I did in France years ago. So yeah, but I'm enjoying jumping the onesie at the moment. It's very rewarding and a lot less stressful for the jumps I'm doing. And in the jumps in Norway, I'm looking forward to going back and doing the Stoltertrolten, the Grand Troll, the big one. Mm-hmm. That's good. Then the last one I was there in 2018, that was amazing. Just standing up and you're looking down at the original. It's like way down there and way back in. So that's actually a really nice jump. And just looking forward to getting back to Norway. I love that place. Even though I've had some nightmare times there. And I think it was, when was it? It would have been 2012. I spent a month there and I got 4 jumps. It was just lots
of weather, right?
Bad weather. And then, I have never scored one of the amazing summers there. I've missed them.
I just stopped going because I think I went in 2012 as well. And it was like, I did 2 jumps or something like that. And it was like, man, I'm just going to go to Italy. It's the good weather and the food is really good.
The fucking Dolomites are amazing.
Amazing.
So I'm looking forward. I want to go back there again, because we did a trip there one time. I think we did 6 or 7 jumps, all hiking ones, and Dolomites are amazing. So the last time we went through, we were driving through, and we went up, caught up with Scotty Bob and those guys at Saspadoy, and we went through Orgado, and the big storm had come through, I think, earlier that year or the end of the last year, and the fucking place was just destroyed. The bridge down the end was just mangled.
Wow.
It was like, it's fucking...
Agordo, man, that whole valley there, that's just such a magical place. I'm looking forward to going back there as well.
It amazes me there's not that many local jumpers from the Dolomites. Is it still that way?
It's been years since I've been there, so I don't really know. Because there's a ton of, the outdoor sports industry and the culture there is vast.
Yeah, there's so many other things for them to do.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. I don't know why that is. It's, maybe there's a ton of local jumpers now and we just don't know them.
Yeah. Well, there's so many fucking jumps there.
Yeah. There's a endless opportunity. We talked a little bit about videos, and your motivation early on was not to make videos or to be a hero. And has that changed over the years? Do you video all your jumps? Do you post on social media? I've stepped back quite a bit from social media lately, so it's like I'm not up to date on a lot of stuff. So
yeah, I used to enjoy, when I first started, I used to enjoy videoing. My mentor was a cameraman, but like we weren't jumping the massive cameras. We were only jumping the mini DVs. So my mentor, he was jumping like the high 8s and before that. But like the GoPros are really good and all the other action cameras, but I hate the fucking 360. Like for training and that, it's amazing. But when you see someone post a video and like the cliff behind them is like curved around, it just looks fucking stupid.
It's all distorted.
It's distorted. It's not what you see through your eyes. But where you can pan it around, like some of that's sort of good. Like when I see it, I want to see what you see through your eyes. So I think for training, they're really good. But yeah, I video some, but sometimes I just couldn't be bothered. But it sucks because something will happen and you're like, fuck. Yeah.
Yeah, I like to put the 360 camera on for all of my jumps just because I like to know what's going on with my parachute. You know, like I like to see all the openings. And like you said, like maybe the video's not that beautiful, but like being able to monitor all the openings is like really important for me. Yeah,
I think I've been talking about it for a while. I want to fucking get one. So yeah. But I enjoy watching people's footage, but it's funny. I enjoy the movies that get made that are like got a bit of a story behind them, like the early, the Flying Frenchies videos. Their first one was fucking amazing. That like video is, I still reckon, one of the best videos ever fucking made. Well shot, a bit of a story to it, and their fucking characters. So yeah, I wish people would do more videos that have got a bit of a story behind them, not just like bang, 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 bang. And the sad thing is most people's videos are just them.
Yeah,
I fucking hate that.
I was saying that the other day, like all the old footage that I have in a hard drive, I usually fast forward through the jump and then the landings were like my friends and the high fives and the stoke at the landing area. That's like what I love to watch again.
It's funny. If you look at people when they first do their first few videos, it's all about everything. But then I can understand why people have videos with just them, because they're trying to, get sponsorship or trying to make some money, or, they're concentrating everything on themselves. So I do understand why. It's just, I like when I see people's, like, what's the other one that Ludo made years ago? Fucking hell.
That's another legend that people have almost forgotten about, huh?
Yeah, he was so fucking cool. It was funny when I did my first wingsuit base jump was with him, and because we'd been working together, he was working for Adrenaline at the time, and then when we come out, and I think we jumped McGlan. And after the jump, so my first wingsuit base jump was a 2-way. So it's pretty funny. When we landed, he was like, oh, it was okay, but not that good. And I was like, yeah, not bad for my first one. And he's like, what?
So he didn't know. You just kept it on the low.
And it's sort of funny. My first ever cliff jump was a 2-way off a jump back in Australia. So.
Yeah, it's nice to have somebody. It's reassuring, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Cool. What are we forgetting to talk about? Man, it's cool having you here.
Yeah, I wish I'd be spending a little bit more time, but I'm like fucking boom.
You're out the door. So when we're done recording, where are you headed? Heading
to Puttgarden.
Okay.
But my air conditioner's not working, so I got to try and find somewhere. There's a couple of places here. I'm going to see if this needs to be regassed. So get that done, and then just head north, get to Puttgarden, get on the ferry, get across the other side, and continue up to Romsdal. And then I'll be there for a little bit, and then go over. I think the Stream Week's on, and I'm going to catch up with Jenny and Hege and just see them, do some jumps there, and then back to...
When you see Hege, just tell her that she needs to record with us because she's mic shy, man.
Well, I want her to also... Because the book that got written, it's not translated out of Norwegian.
Okay, no, I don't know about this book.
It's all about when she... You'll have... I won't say anymore, but it's about her accent she had many years ago. I want her to also...
Here in France?
In Norway.
Okay.
So you definitely... I'll tell her that she has to speak with you. But yeah, it's like I'd like... she needs to get that book translated in, or do a fucking a spoken book of it, so everyone else can listen to it.
Man, I would love to help her out with that. I mean, we can produce that. That would be amazing. She's got a bunch of stories to share. She's been around for a long time.
Yeah. The funny thing, we were up on Black Lines, and whenever you're with her and she does the like this, I found out later, she told me, she says, that's when I'm really fucking nervous, when she does that little clap. And it's very cute. And I went back and she was on that jump and she was doing it there. So yeah, she's a fucking character.
Well, cool, man. It's been a pleasure catching up with you and having you in my home. And I've been wanting to do this for quite a while.
Well, you got to keep doing them and keep getting more people. Try and get, there's so many fucking people's stories that you don't want lost.
So we talked about Ega. We talked about Rudy. Who's
Tom Eric.
Yeah, I've been trying to get with Tom Eric too. He's into it. We're gonna do it.
And the other thing, do you know Bjorte? Mm-hmm. It must be just.
Yeah,
I
met him in Lodi way back in the day, skydiving. He was getting his first skydives in Lodi.
Because some of the stories, he's one of the rescue climbers in the Troll area. So some of the stuff that he would have done and seen is like the stories that he would have. Because you had fuck me dead. Then again, he's fucking used to jump with car a lot. Went in wingsuiting, not tracking. Fucking hell. One of the best trackers in the world. So if anyone wants to see an amazing video, you just want to Google 5 things to do without a wingsuit, and that's card, and all the jumps are the first time he's tracked them, so they're all wingsuit exits, and fucking hell, it's so annoying on my brain. I think I've got early onset dementia. Teen would be listening to this, being like, "You fucking dickhead." His name is, but yeah, But what's the other? There's so many good videos out there that I wish someone would just put a big link of them all where people could just click on them. And
well, in your episode, when you have some time, you can give me a bunch of links and we can put it in the episode description as a must-watch list for jumping.
Yeah, fucking oath. There's a few really good ones. I'll have to go back through my videos. Ones that, like, the other one that I used to love watching was First Base. And that's like the amazing soundtrack. So there's a Norwegian band called Yelp. And the jumping, like it's not as full on as Super Terminal, but like the VHS tape that I had of that, I just watched that over and over and over again. And the music and... Yeah, I think there's a section where the Norwegians, they were the first ones to go and jump in Shanghai, and watching them. And there was mainly, I think, the music that went with the footage. It was pretty fucking cool.
Yeah, we're kind of missing that. So for people that are listening and need to step up their video game a little bit, right? Like better soundtracks, some story behind it.
Yeah, well, that was like a local Norwegian band that they got, and I think they were all originals, but there's one that's like, it talks about jumping, and so I don't know whether they wrote that in it, but yeah, I think they performed when they had the premiere for Sunshine Superman. They performed in in Romsdal at the Visitors Centre down below Troll. So that would have been pretty fucking cool. So I never got to see them live, but I'm going to try and see if Sean Bartlett is the lead singer and he still performs. So he might be playing in Norway. So if he is, I'm going to go try and catch up, see him.
I got to go pee. You're going to think about maybe something that we have forgotten to talk about?
Yeah. I'm just annoyed. I can't remember his fucking name. My internet's shit. I'm trying to find
the guy that died in Monterey, the drowning.
No. Fucking Cars. Fucking.
Car's another good one that.
Fuck, he'd be good, and Stas as well. That'd be a crazy. You'd have to wait to speak to him in person. So I don't know whenever that would be, but.
Tell me about Stas, because I'm not. I've heard his name, but I'm not. I don't know who he is.
Well, most people know him from the suspension base.
Oh, right. Okay.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Yeah. So we came across him. One of my mates, Gibbsy, was jumping in Tonsai, and he's like, "Tell me about this fucking crazy Russian that he met that was jumping a 9-cell Russian canopy with just the 2 end cells removed to make a 7-cell, and like a shitty fucking container that was fucked." But they said like he was really involved in the suspension community, and he's just an amazing dude. And said to Gibbsy, I said, "Oh well, I've had a good year of selling gear. Like let's get him a decent set of gear." So between me, Gibbsy, and another dude, we just got him a new set of gear. But the hardest thing was trying to get him to accept it. And it took pretty much saying, well, you take people for these suspensions. Like this is before he done suspension base. And,
but let's back up. Let's talk about what suspension is.
Oh, so it's just when people have hooks in their body, their skin, and they'll be suspended from it. So I've never done it. I think it's cool to watch, and it gets people into a really weird mindset. And Stas was like doing it with rope jumps and stuff like that, and he had it all in his head that he, from back in the early days, that he wanted to do suspension base, and yeah, he's pretty much like the only person in the world that does it. And it's I think he went back to Russia, and it might have been the 1,000th suspension base was done back in Russia.
He's done 1,000 of them?
He's done, yeah, there's 1,000 people.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
Okay. Watching, did you ever watch any of those jumps in person?
Yeah, we were there, and there was a French guy getting it done, and I'm pretty sure he fucking still hates me for it. So it's a big process of when they've got to do it, and then it just looks so fucking painful. But I got a texter, and I fucking just drew a little cartoon with the guy with a big cock on his back. So when he had the video, that's there. he was so fucking pissed. He's had his cool fucking moment, and I fucked it up. As I always joke, if remember when fucking Gary Connolly did the boxes,
right?
If Aussies had helped him, the boxes would have been the shape of a cock.
He needed some balls with that big long row of boxes.
Yeah, that was pretty fucking cool. It was funny, like when that was all happening, everyone was going through. I think Jeb had his ideas. Everyone was, and then Gary was just like, "Well, we do it in stunt work," and just I think the others must have thought of it the same. Went nah, but he was smart. You only remember the first one. Doesn't matter how you do it.
Yeah, that was one of those stunts where everyone was holding their breath.
Yeah. Well, there's been some cool ones since, like the Luke Aikens one.
Landing in the net.
Landing in the net was amazing. And then the one with the plane, I so wish that would have worked out. It was fucking so badass.
Yeah, Luke Aikens one that I remember staying up. I think it like happened at 4:00 in the morning here in CET, and I waited until stayed up all night to watch that. And same thing, holding my breath, going like, "God damn!"
It was funny when Felix did his thing. I was just like, "Eh." But then when Luke was doing that, I was like, "This is fucking awesome.
This is real."
Yeah, it's so fucking good. And then the plane one, I was just like, "Fucking hell, that is so awesome." It just sucked that it didn't fully work out, and then they copped all the bullshit afterwards from the FAA.
Right. Yeah, it was so well done too, right? Like how each one of his teams sort of slowly peeled away. One guy pulls, and then the next guy pulls, and then Andy's like the last one with him and his uncle or his cousin. That's my dog making a bunch of noise in the background. And then it was, man, my heart was pumping. What an amazing stunt that was.
And that should have got more like, I think because Felix had Red Bull behind him, like I just wish Luke's one was so much more impressive and so much better. It just didn't get the recognition outside of air sports people than it deserved. Like it was fucking amazing.
Yeah, it was amazing. Yeah, it's tough for people these days to push the boundaries, man. I mean, I guess there's still a lot to do, but there's so many amazing things that have already been done. Yeah,
it's funny. Years ago, I used to take the piss out of Jimmy Freeman, he'd do something, and I'd be like, yeah, that was great, but I saw Dwayne do that like 5 years ago. It's funny, if you look now, like it's pretty hard. You look at a lot of the older wingsuiters, they made their name, they were able to pull back and do lots more actual cool stuff and trade on their name. And a lot of the newer guys have got to do ridiculous shit to try to, and it's funny because the general public doesn't really give a fucking shit about wingsuiting. They're tuned out, they're bored. Like, we know what goes into it. We're amazed, but the general public doesn't really give a fucking shit.
No, yeah, that sort of leveled off years ago where people were like, "Oh, wow, wingsuiting."
Except for what was the? It was you did the podcast with who was it again? With they've got the thing in. Is it in Salt Lake? It's the visual thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That sounds amazing.
Yeah. It was surprisingly good.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was surprisingly good. That was the episode with Marshall Miller.
Yeah, that was. I was listening to that like. I was working on a rail shutdown, so we're like cutting, chainsawing fucking stuff hanging over the things, and we were staying away, and I listened to that one when I was out there, and I was like, that's fucking sounds so cool. So someone can actually, because you've got the thing of only a surfer knows the feeling. Like, people will ask, why do you do it? And it's pretty hard to explain it, but then that sort of allows them a little bit of feeling sort of what it would be like.
Yeah, they get a taste of the experience. He said, "You're making too much noise. Go lie down."
Because how does it all fucking work? Like, how? Because you did it.
Yeah.
And you're jumping, and it feels like you're jumping that you know that you're not connected with wires.
Yeah, it's wild, man. So you have like you go into this chamber, and they fit you for a suit. It's a squirrel suit. It's been modified for this experience, and you put the goggles on, or one of the techs helps you put the goggles on, and then you like put a rig on, and you're suspended to like a crane sort of thing, but you don't feel it or anything like that.
And I suppose because it's so immersive that because I remember I did one, there was a roller coaster, and in the big roller coaster park in Germany, and you put the VR goggles on and you forget that you're just sitting in a roller coaster. It's like you're going around and you're spinning around everywhere. So is it like that immersive that it's so real?
Yeah, I mean, so they have these fans, so you feel like the wind is, and like, so you start with a skydive, land, and then do a base jump. But when you're, at the very beginning, you walk your feet up to the edge. And I remember being like, dude, my heart's beating. I feel like I'm exiting here, like the sensations were pretty strong. And then you literally have to jump off of this ledge, and then the unit catches you. And, I think I talked about this in that episode, but like I got a little bit of motion sickness because what my body and brain expected out of the inputs was different than what I was getting.
Yeah.
And only Ellen and I were getting nauseous, but like everybody else was like, no, I didn't feel any nausea because they just didn't have that sensory perception of like what it should be doing.
Yeah.
And according to Marshall, they're like making improvements all the time. So
is that the only one they have? Are they looking at getting others? It must be worth
I
a
talked
lot
to the
of
owner.
Money.
I talked to the owner, and he was talking about opening a couple in various locations, like Dubai and London. Like I don't quote me on that because I can't remember exactly where, but he was looking at, and then Marshall is like the ambassador for the one in Salt Lake, and then they would have other people, ambassador to their country sort of thing. And I don't know where they are with that, but it'll be interesting to see that grow.
Yeah, it's pretty. When I heard that, I was like, "Fucking hell, that sounds so amazing." I was just trying to get into my head of like what it would have been like. But then I suppose, if you once you got the goggles on and you're feeling everything.
Have you ever flown FPV? Like drone flying?
No.
Okay, so like something similar there, because like when I was flying FPV, I kind of got tired of tooling on the drones because it takes a lot of bench work. And but like when you're flying, you get fear, you get exhilaration, you get all the feelings of flying just by having this headset on, and like it's pretty wild. And I thought, it was pretty similar in that regard, is that like you're not really flying, but you're getting all of these emotions and sensations from it.
And how long have they been open for now?
It's been quite a few years now. But like, again, they started with like a V1 and now they're on V, who knows, but like it's been, and Marshall was out here, I think last year filming a bunch, so that now they have all of these different exit points, you know, in Switzerland and Italy and the US. And so it keeps growing. And like, I think I said this in that episode as well, is like one of the coolest things about that whole experience was like being there and seeing a bunch of kids come through the front door and being like, yeah, wingsuiting, this is awesome. You know, like, I mean, talk about lowering the point of entry for wingsuiting. Cause before it was like super fringe sport. Like most people hadn't even heard of it. And here are some kids, you know, like 10 to 13 years old, totally have seen all the videos and are going to experience it. I mean, we're talking about a whole new generation of people, participants in the sport, whether it be skydiving, you know, wingsuiting, whatever. It was like, I see it as a net positive for us.
Oh, you're definitely going to have people that are going to go that and then going to go, I want to fucking do that.
Yeah, I want to do this for real. What about the tunnel? You drawn to flying the wingsuit tunnel?
I'd like to, but...
Yeah, it's pricey.
Yeah, if they were... are they going to open any others?
Yep. From what I hear, there's a couple locations that are...
Because that one was used for something else, wasn't it?
Mm-hmm.
So
it's like a research facility.
Yeah. And then all the others would have to be like purposely built.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I've heard rumors of one being built in Switzerland, and then they have another one that's going to be near the drop zone in Bovec, I guess, that's already under construction. Again, I'm talking out of line here, but I remember them, like the last time I went, they had a document written up and everything, and you could see that, okay, they're advanced stages of making this happen.
Because you definitely see friends that have gone there said it's amazing, and it just improves your flying so much.
Absolutely. I mean, just any time in the air, feeling the wind over your suit, it's really helpful. It's just building awareness, and that air awareness is so important for flying, no matter if it's just your body or a wingsuit or whatever. And so, yeah, I definitely am a huge advocate. I mean, I think that there's drills and skills that you learn in the sky that are really important and that shouldn't be missed. You know, like what I used to do in a lot of my camps was we do like these dive and flare drills where we would just kind of go up and down and up and down. And, you know, it gives people an understanding of like, oh, if I'm not really like holding this really good body configuration, then I just can't keep up. And I've got this much more to work on. And I think that's really helpful, you know, not only for being able to flare and have a nice comfortable opening, but then also like being able to build speed and transition that and maintain power. And that's something that's critical in base jumping. Cool.
I think we're done.
I think we're done too. Man, it's been a pleasure.